Hi everyone, this is Daniel Eigenman from the Daniel Eigenman Broker Forum. Today I wanted to talk about, there's a perception out there in the market where if you've got a poor credit history, it's almost impossible, if impossible, to borrow for a loan. As a mortgage broker, I work with 30 plus different lenders, and all lenders have different appetites, they have different policies, and they are among the 30 lenders that I have what we call specialist lenders. And these are lenders that will look at type of borrowers that your major banks will not necessarily look at. And I've invited Cameron Finnie of Bluestone Mortgages to tell us a little bit more about specialist lending. Welcome to the show, Cameron.
Yep, thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well.
Good.
Very busy out there at the moment.
Yes, you find a lot of people with credit impairments, or
there's a lot of struggling people out there, especially in the WA economy.
okay.
So they're short on income, or they've got other credit issues, and that's where we can help.
Okay, so what I want to talk about today is, obviously poor credit history, and more importantly, people with credit impairment or defaults and things like that. Do you want to tell us a bit about what credit impairments actually are?
Yeah, so credit impairments, generally when you apply for a loan with any lender, they'll access your credit file, which is an overall report. So whenever you apply for credit or for a loan, they'll access your credit file. So what a credit impairment is if you've ever been behind on a bill or a debt, it actually puts a blemish.
And that could be on anything, your phone bill, your mortgages,
on your home loan, your credit card, or it might even be a court writ where you've had an issue as a self-employed borrower or a self-employed person where they've had a disagreement. That can show up on the credit file as well. So if you've got a blemish on your credit file, basically it prohibits you getting a loan through a traditional mainstream lender. Yeah,
that's pretty much what you're saying, is that the big banks are saying, listen, the market is big enough, we don't have to worry about people with blemishes on their credit report.
That's exactly
and that's
right.
That's where you guys at Bluestone come in.
And that's where Bluestone come in to help.
So you obviously, you would lend to people who are in arrears on their home loans?
Yeah, we'll pretty well consider all sorts of people. The key for us is the understanding of why they've got a blemish, why they've fallen behind on their repayments on their home loan. We call it a life event, and it can affect all sorts of people, and it actually affects people you wouldn't consider having a poor credit history. Quite often we'll do loans for any business, whether it be an engineer where the wife has had breast cancer, he's had to take time off work to look after her, or it might be someone who's overcommitted with debt, or it might be just simple a failed business where the business is struggling, they've fallen behind, the home loan has fallen into arrears, and they couldn't afford to make their credit card repayments on time, so they have a blemish on their credit file.
So really what we're really talking about here is not someone who cannot afford the loan. We're not talking about that as well. We're talking about in their history, in their credit history, if there's anything out, any blemishes, most banks will say, listen, based on your history, we're not really interested in lending you for the future. But as I said, and as I always say, it's important that you understand that every solution that we work on is really, you've got to be able to afford the loan. That's not what we're talking about, is it? We're talking about people with impaired history.
That's right, because the bank will see these people as a high risk and they won't lend to them.
That's right. They're not in the business of taking risk.
No, that's right. Where Bluestone will consider unlimited arrears, unlimited defaults, as long as it makes sense. We'll like to have an understanding of what's caused the problem. Yeah. And as I said before, it could be marital dispute, it could be loss of employment, any reason that makes sense. We'll consider. They still have to afford the loan, so we've got to show that the loan can be serviced. But generally, by refinancing through a specialist lender such as Bluestone, what we do is bring their accounts in order, bring them up to date, and most of the time we actually lower their repayments to make their life more comfortable and more affordable.
So it's important to, so you actually manually review and assess every application, not you?
That's correct. Every deal is manually assessed. We don't credit score, unlike the banks.
Do you want to tell us what credit score actually means? Because some people might know what it means.
Yeah, so by credit score, when you go through a mainstream traditional lender, they'll input the data, and basically the computer will assess the risk. And if it's got a default or a blemish or any form of mortgage arrears, it won't.
It's pretty much automatic decline, isn't it?
It's automatic decline.
And you can't explain that it was a life event, it was a once-off, as you said, one of the partners may have had cancer, your ability to earn an income was impaired for a little while.
That's correct.
But you look at every case.
We look at every
for
case
its own merit.
On its merit. It still has to service, and it's still got to be a benefit to meet responsible lending. But as long as we can help the client, we're happy to do the deal.
So you want to give me a few examples of people that you actually helped not through recently?
Yeah, we see all sorts of clients, and that's where specialist lending is quite interesting. I recently did a loan for a lawyer. He had $200,000 worth of credit card debt. They're all over its limits. He was a couple of months in arrears on his home loan. By refinancing through us, we managed to give him a lower repayment. He was on 360 grand per annum as his
Very
income.
nice, yeah.
He had 30 grand per month of outgoings. By refinancing through us, we lowered his repayments to $15,000 per month.
Wow, so it's really taking into account the whole history, really understanding the borrower yourself, and then devising a solution that is right for them, that will help them. It might be get out of the jam, or really providing them with a solution. And that solution can be a temporary solution, could be also a permanent solution. And that's what as a broker I do. I assess the situation. Now, if you fit the requirements of let's say the more standard banks, we'll go there. If not, we'll go to to a specialist lender like yourself.
Lender. Yep, perfect.
So would you lend to discharged bankrupts?
Yeah, we definitely do. They need to be discharged for a minimum of 1 day. What we do see a lot of is where people have had a high debt level, and for whatever reason they've seen they've gone into Part 9 or Part 10, which is a scheme of arrangement or payment arrangement. So we're happy to refinance them and help them out. What we see with Part 9 and Part 10 debt agreements, it generally is around marital disputes. Marital disputes quite often causes credit impairment, or it causes people to go Part 9 or Part 10 bankrupt, and we're happy to help those sorts of people get into a new home. What you generally find with marital separation is they fall behind. Quite often the ex-husband will stop paying the debt.
Yeah, I've seen that many times. Yeah.
The ex-wife says, well, if he's not paying, I'm not paying.
Yeah.
And what happens down the track, they find a new partner and they want to buy a house together. So we're happy to help these sorts of people get into a new home and move on with their lives.
Yeah, so it's really understanding the borrower, what situation they're in, and providing the right solution for it.
That's
and this
correct.
is why I wanted you to meet Cameron of Bluestone today, because there are options out there. As I always say, with 30 different lenders, there's a good chance there's a solution for you, whether it's a solution that we can implement right away, or whether it's going to be in the near future, 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months down the track. But we can put a plan together for you to be ready when you will meet the lenders, and that could be specialist lenders as well, requirements. Now, very quickly, last time you came on the show, you talked about recently self-employed, so you do that as well. So it doesn't need to be the 2 years like most banks do.
Yep.
But you also lend to self-employed applicants with a poor credit history.
Yeah, Bluestone see a lot of self-employed applicants, and as I said at the start of this presentation, it is tough for them at the moment. So we're happy to help the self-employed borrower, whether they need a bit of cash out to help with their business. But what you do see a lot of with self-employed is their income can be quite lumpy. In terms of that is they'll get a whole heap of invoices paid 1 month, and then there might be a couple of months gap. So it's not infrequent to see them in arrears on their home loan or have blemishes on their credit file. Yeah. All those sorts of people, we're happy to help, and we quite often don't need financials. Well, most frequently we're happy to verify income using whether it be bank statements or BAS or an accountant's letter to confirm or verify their income. Yeah,
again, to understand the bigger picture. Because most banks will not necessarily use your actual income as servicing income. So it's really understanding where the money is coming from, how much is coming in, and taking again a manual assessment of the application. And Cam, thank you very much for coming in. I hope you've all got a lot of information out there. And I guess the main message for today is there probably is a solution for you. If you're looking at borrowing money to buy a house and you found your dream home, and you may have gone to your main bank and they said no, remember there are solutions out there. So talk to a good broker or talk to myself. You got all the details on the page here, or you can call me on 0412 022 110 or send me a quick message and we can have a look at your solution. And I'll probably have a chat to you, Cameron, as well, if we get some good scenarios as well. Well, thank you very much. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you.